welcome to my next 30-minute Pilates session. So today we're going to work on just opening up our hips, stretching them out, firing up through our glutes, just general hip health today for half an hour. So we'll start off feet together, coming up nice and tall. And this time we're going to keep the feet together, but I want you to just make sure, just gently rocking pressure through the toes, back through the heels, so that you come to a midpoint, so you make sure you've got equal pressure through forefoot and hindfoot. And the same going left to right as well. And then come back to that midpoint. And we're going to think about lengthening up through the legs. And then I want you to think about the pelvis. So imagine your pelvis like a big bowl, marble at the bottom, and we're going to just gently roll that marble forwards and backwards. So arching and hollowing, and just thinking about opening up and closing down through the lower back, just getting a little bit of mobility through there. And then feel how far you go in either direction. I'm going to come to that midpoint where you feel the marbles at the bottom of the bowl. Pelvis is nice and neutral. We're going to try and just soften through the knees, so make sure you're not locked out through the knees. Just gently soften through the kneecaps, relax through the quads a little bit. And then from that nice neutral pelvis, we're going to stack the spine up. So imagine the spine stacking up like building blocks, one on top of the other, as you come all the way between the shoulder blades, through the back of the neck, through the crown of the head, lengthening through. And we're just going to start off with hip twists. I'm going to get you to put your hands onto your hips. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. So as though you're going to just engage through those core muscles. And then keeping the left knee soft, we're going to just lift the right heel. So you're just imagining that that big toe on the right leg is just balancing on a pound coin. I'm going to keep the pelvis really still and just twist that knee out to the side and then come back in again. So breathe out, move out, breathe in, move in. So left knee soft, everything from the pelvis up stays really nice and still, but lengthening through the spine. Keep those shoulders down away from your ears. And you can either just stay here, imagining that big toes on a pound coin, twisting out, twisting back in, or you can come into level 2 where you can put your foot onto your shin. So it challenges your balance that little bit more. And you're just opening up through the hip, but keeping everything from the pelvis up really nice and still. Breathe out, breathe in, good. Core stays switched on to keep you balanced, and that knee stays soft on the left. Good. So keep that control, keep that nice balance on that left side. Remember, if you feel too wobbly, you just can't control it, bring that big toe back onto that pound coin. Just twist out from there. You're keeping the pelvis still, so it's easy to cheat and want to twist, but we're not. We're just opening through the hip. Good, last 2. And 1. Good, nice, all done. And relax down. Have a little loosen off through the legs. Feet together. Soft knees, pelvis nice and neutral. Lengthen through the spine, shoulders down. Core switched on, pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. We're going to peel that left heel up, keep the right knee soft. Imagine that big toe on a pound coin, twisting out, twisting back in again. Breathe out, breathe in, move in. Keeping everything from the pelvis up really nice and still. And if you want to come up into that second level, then you can pop your foot onto your shin and twist out. Now you might have been able to do this on one side, but the other side feels harder. So you can either just have fingertips touching something or come back into that big toe on pound coin. And just imagine keeping that toe on that pound coin as you twist that knee out. But again, just make sure you don't twist all the way with the pelvis as well. Keeping everything from the pelvis up really nice and still. Softening on that right leg. Good. Opening up through that hip. Good. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Good. And relax. Good, well done. Okay, have a little loosen off through the legs. I'm going to come into skating. So again, bring your feet relatively close together. Equal pressure through forefoot, hind foot, left and right leg. Soft knees, pelvis nice and neutral. We're going to lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the back of the neck. Core switched on. We're going to stand on our left leg again. We're going to peel that right heel up. And then from there, if you need something to hold on to here, you can just gently hold on to something. And we're going to come up so the knee's in front of the hip. And then you're going to come down so your ankles are next to one another. And then you're going to lead out with your heel to the side. In and up, down, lead out with the heel. So bring those toes up towards the ceiling. And you're just coming, so out to the side, but just very slightly behind you. And that should fire up through the glutes on that right side. So you're stabilizing on the left hip and you're activating through that right hip with the movement. So just make sure you're not arching through that lower back. You should feel this bottom cheek work. You're not going far, but you're just allowing that heel. Think about taking the heel, so it's easy again to point. Don't point, naughty toes. Coming up, down, out, and in. Keeping everything up above the pelvis, nice and still. Down, out, and in. Good. Hold on if you need to. Good. Keep that control. Lengthening through the spine, keeping the core switched on, softening on the left. Let's do one more. Good, well done. And relax down again. Have a little loosen off through the legs. Up nice and tall, core switched on, lengthen through the spine. Softening on the right, peel the left heel, bring that left knee in front of your left hip. Down. Out with the heel, in and up, down, out, in and up. Keep everything from the pelvis up really still. So just again, make sure that you're not extending through the lower back. You're keeping the toes pulled up towards the knee, taking that heel just out to maybe not 4 o'clock on this, on the left side, the 8 o'clock on this side. So just slightly behind you, and that should really fire up through the glutes. If you come straight to the side, you can start using the front instead of the glutes. So find kind of that angle, but don't go too far. It's more about keeping everything still through the pelvis, and that will help you fire up. Keep nice and soft on that right knee, remember, don't lock it out so that it's really solid. You want to keep it soft and use the soft tissues to help you balance. Good. Let's do one more. Good, well done. And relax off. And then from here, if you're happy to, we're going to come into a cross-legged roll down. But if you feel like it's too much for your balance, bring your feet hip width apart. Or if you are happy to, we're going to cross your right leg in front of your left leg. We're going to make sure whichever position you're in, pelvis is nice and neutral. We're going to lengthen through the spine, shoulders down, core switched on, and you're going to roll down from your chin, tuck your chin into your neck, and then roll down one at a time. One vertebrae at a time. Keep that pelvis tall for as long as possible. Opening up through the spine and tipping forward through the pelvis when you can't go further through the spine, then stacking up pelvis first and then rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Remember, if the legs crossed and you're really wobbly, just bring your feet hip width apart and you can come down, slightly more balance, takes that challenge out of it a little bit, and you're just going as far as you feel comfortable to going. So if you're happy to just go hands to knees and roll back up, that's fine, but I just really want you to think about keeping the core nice, switched on, keeping the pelvis neutral for as long as you can. Slightly soft knees, rolling through the spine, and then stacking up pelvis first. If you have got your legs crossed, then just cross the other way. So left leg in front of right. Up nice and tall, core switched on, shoulders down, chin into chest, rolling down, chin down, sink that breastbone deep into the rib cage. Keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. When you can't go any further, then start to roll forward through the pelvis. Good. And stacking up, pelvis first. And then one vertebra at a time as you come up. Let's do 2 more on that side. Good. Last one. Well done. Okay, and then once you finish that, we're going to come down onto our back on the mat. So take your time, come down onto the mat, and once you're there, just make sure that your feet are in line with knees and hips. And when you come down onto your back with your shoulders as well. I'm going to make sure that the neck is nice and long. So just make sure that you're not pointing chin up to the ceiling. Likewise, you're not chin down to chest, but lengthen through the back of the neck. You're going to snuggle those shoulder blades down under the rib cage so you take your shoulders away from your ears. And just lift the hips lower down. And then we're going to imagine that you've got a marshmallow directly underneath the belly button between spine and mat. 2 pence coin directly underneath breastbone between spine and mat. And just push down so you're squashing that marshmallow, increasing that pressure onto that 2 pence coin. And then we're going to lift up and away from them so you could just slide your fingertips. And then squash down again, then lift up and away. I'm going to come to that midpoint, so we're going to come maybe halfway down onto that marshmallow. If you know that you tend to want to arch the lower back, squash down a little bit further. But make sure that that 2 pence coin directly underneath breastbone between spine and mat has a bit of contact from your spine onto it. So from there, and then nice and neutral, we're going to engage through the core muscles. So breath in, as you breathe out, you're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. And we're going to come into hip twist. So breath in, as you breathe out, we're going to float one leg to tabletop. Breath in, as you breathe out, you're going to bring the other leg to join it. And you're going to imagine that your shins are like the front and back cover of a book. So breath in, as you breathe out, you're going to open the front cover of the book. Then coming back to the centre. Breathe out, open the back cover of the book. Breathe in, come back to the centre. So you're opening the hip and the knee and foot are in line. And you're going to try and keep the same pressure through the left and right side of your back. And that same pressure through that marshmallow, that 2 pence coin, as you open up the hips. So breathe out, move out. Breathe in, move in. Breathe out, move out. Breathe in, move in. If you find it easy, you can bring your arms either onto your waist so you can make sure that you're fairly equal and you're keeping that pressure the same, or you can bring them across your chest. Breathe out, move out. Imagine those covers of the book opening up, close together again. Keep that same pressure from your back down onto the mat. Good. Keep that control. Keep those core muscles switched on. Make sure you're not lifting away from that marshmallow, that 2 pence coin. Good. We're going to do one more on either side. Keep that pressure the same through both sides of the back. Good. And then from there, just gently pop hands onto knees and hug those knees in towards your chest. And then pop your hands onto your knees and just do a big circle of those knees over your chest. So you're just opening up through the lower back. Good. And then we're going to go back in the other direction. Good. And then hug those knees in towards your chest one more time. And I'm going to lower one leg down to the floor and then bring the other one down to join it. Good. Okay. So just arch and hollow again a couple of times, and then come down into that neutral spine so you're halfway into that marshmallow, breastbone's down so that 2p coin has got a bit of pressure on it. We're going to engage through the core muscles. Maybe have your arms down by your side again for this. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to float one leg to tabletop. Now, if this is too much with both legs up, then you can do one leg, keeping the other leg down on the floor, and then bring the other, and then swap. So we'll start with this one, but if you find it too much, I'll show you the next one in a moment. So breath in. As you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it. And from here, we're going to come into a pedal. So we're going to do a big circle with the right leg, coming back, and then we're going to do a big circle with the left leg. Breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, and breathing in. If that's too much, bring one leg down onto the floor, pedal one. So drawing a big circle almost with that foot. And that circle's kind of sideways, so you're drawing a big penny farthing wheel with your foot. Circling one leg, opening up through the hip, keeping that pressure down. If you're doing one leg, just do two more on that leg. And if you're doing alternate, keeping the opposite leg at tabletop, you're just loading a little bit more. So if you need to swap, lower that right leg and then circle through the left leg. If you're happy doing both, alternating one leg then the other, then that's fine. So big circle with one leg and then big circle with the other leg. Now if that circle's slightly smaller and stays slightly higher in the air, but you can control it, that's absolutely fine. Work with what your body is saying is achievable for you. If you're loading too much, you feel like you're arching off of the mat with your lower back, or it's hurting, then stop, bring one leg to the floor, and then you can bring the other leg to the floor, have a little rest, or you can make your circle smaller. Good. Last one on either side, the last one if you're just doing that one side. Lower one leg to the floor, bring the other leg to join it. We're just going to lengthen through arms and legs. So big stretch through. As you breathe in, I want you to reach your fingertips and toes away from one another. And as you breathe out, relax down into the mat. So breath in, reaching away. Breathe out, melting down into the mat. One more time, big breath in. Breathing out. And relaxing down into the mat. Good. Okay. From there, we're going to bend one leg up. So it's really nice and close to your bottom. As close to your bottom as you're comfortable going with your knees. Bend the other leg up. So as close to your bottom as you can with your feet. We're going to just make sure that your shoulders are down away from your ears, your neck's nice and long. Just lift your bottom and lower it down again so you're in a nice straight line through the spine. We're going to come into our shoulder bridge. So this fires up through the bottom and it opens up through the hips, which is really nice. So if you've been sat at a desk all day or just sat down for a long period of time during the day, this is really nice to open up through the hips, which can get tight, and fire up through the glutes, which can get a bit lazy when we're sat down a lot. So a nice long spine, nice and neutral onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. Hands by your side. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the belly button, down through, up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. And then from there, breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to squash that marshmallow as much as you can. You feel your tailbone, your coccyx is start to peel up off the mat. Going to squeeze your bottom muscles, shorten through those tummy muscles and peel the spine one vertebra at a time as you come up off of the mat. You're not going to lift too high with that breastbone, so I want you to keep the spine nice and long. You shouldn't be feeling anything through that lower back, so if you are, drop that breastbone down slightly. That should switch off your lower back, fire up through tummy and glutes. And then from there, we're going to drop that breastbone down onto the mat and then peel the spine one vertebra at a time, like a string of pearls. Each vertebra is one pearl on a string of pearls, and you're coming back down onto the mat. Just keep breathing as you need to. So don't stop breathing, just breathe as you need to. So we're going to squash that marshmallow, peel the coccyx sacrum up off the mat, squeeze your bottom, shorten through those tummy muscles, peel each vertebrae one at a time. Keep those hips nice and level. Don't lift too high through the breastbone, so you shouldn't feel it through the lower back. Squeeze through the bottom. Keep that belly button pulled down towards your spine. And then we're going to lower that breastbone down onto that 2-pence coin, and then shorten through the tummy muscles, squeeze through the bottom, and feel each vertebrae lower onto the mat, one at a time, like a string of pearls, back down. You're going to do 2 more in your own time, just really working on one vertebrae, lifting at a time. And as much movement as you can through the spine. If you feel you've got really nice movement, you can really feel each vertebrae one at a time. Pop your arms across your chest. It's often harder going down, so you'll feel like 1 vertebrae, 2 vertebrae, 8 vertebrae together as they all kind of just chunk down together. So really, if you feel like that, bring your arms back down. But if you feel like you can get nice movement, each vertebrae one at a time, then bring your arms across your chest. Good. Really firing up through the bottom, shortening through the tummy muscles, and feel the vertebrae come down onto the mat. And all the way down back into that nice neutral position. Good, nice, well done. So once you finish, bring your arms back down by your side, and then we're gently going to turn onto our side and then come up onto all fours. So from all fours, we're going to then work through our glutes a little bit more. So we should have just fired them up doing that shoulder bridge. From this position, we're going to make sure that hands are underneath our shoulders, our knees are underneath our hips. We're going to glide those shoulders away from your ears, lengthen through the neck, and just arch and hollow through that lower spine and come to that midpoint where you're nice and long through the spine. And then from there, we're going to think about pulling up that breastbone and that belly button up towards the spine. So you're nice and strong through the core, and you're going to pull the pelvic floor up towards your rib cage. So from there, we're going to try and keep the pelvis nice and neutral. And then we're going to just do a little kick out to the side and back in again. And then opposite side, little kick out to the side and back in again. So we're not twisting too much as we do that. We're going to try and keep nice and neutral through the spine. Breathing out as you lift up, in as you come back down. Breathing out and in. I know it's not the most elegant of exercises, but it's really good for firing up those gluteal muscles, which are really important, and often we get a bit lazy through them. So you're trying to keep the shoulders down, core switched on, pull belly button and breastbone up towards the spine. Neck nice and long, don't allow the chin to drop. Try and keep that neck nice and long. Good. We're going to do 1 more on either side. Keep that control, shoulders away from your ears. Good, well done. Okay. From there, just have a little sit back onto your heels, walk those fingertips away, forehead comes down towards the mat. Just take a few deep breaths in there. Good, 1 more big breath in. And then gently come up back onto all fours. We're going to do 1 more glutes exercise in this position. So from here, again, shoulders underneath, hands underneath shoulders, drop those shoulders away from your ears, make sure your hips are above your knees, and just arch through the lower back and come into that nice long spine. We're going to engage through those core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor. You're going to suck that belly button gently up towards the spine, bring that breastbone. Think about bringing that breastbone up towards the spine as well. And then from there, you might just want to bring your feet slightly together actually. I'm all over the place. Bring your knees slightly closer together, which will bring your feet slightly closer together as well. But bring both your knees slightly closer together. Keeping the core switched on, we're going to bring your right foot up towards the ceiling. So you're going to keep that knee bent at 90 degrees, and you're going to bring your knee so it's in line with your bottom or your hip. And then from there, we're going to keep your lower back nice and long. So don't arch the lower back, but take your heel to the ceiling and then come back down. So it's not a big movement, but it just fires up through those bottom muscles. So you're not allowing that belly button to drop down towards the mat. Keep it pulled up towards the spine, and you're not arching, so don't arch through that lower back. And then you should feel it really fire up through that right bottom cheek. So breathing out, breathing in again. Small movement, it doesn't have to be a big movement. Heel again, don't think toes because you use different muscles. Think heel, up, and knee just relaxes down again. Push and relax. Push and relax. Good, let's do 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Good, well done. Lower down, just reset, shoulders down, pelvis neutral. Engage through the core muscles, pull belly button and breastbone up towards the spine, keeping your knees and feet together. And then from there, we're going to bring the left knee in line with the left hip. Keep that pelvis up nice and neutral. I just sunk through there slightly. So here, bring that belly button up towards the spine. Push and control down. Heel to ceiling, control down. To work that bottom muscle, keeping that pelvis nice and neutral. Good, just make sure you've not arched through that lower back. Small movements. Good, 3 more. And 1. And relax down. Good, one more time. Sit back onto your heels. Walk those fingertips away. 3 big breaths in there. Forehead comes down towards the mat. Good, well done. And then we're gently going to come back up onto all fours. I'm going to show you a little stretch for those glutes and those hip rotators. But if you don't like it, I'm going to show you an alternative. So we'll try it, but if you don't know that it doesn't feel right, then we'll stop and I'll show you an alternative in a minute. So we're going to bring our right ankle in front of our left knee. And then you're going to slide that left knee back. And you're going to want to roll onto your right bottom cheek, but don't. Try and keep yourself nice and neutral. And then from there, you can either stay there or you can come down onto elbows, or even kind of stack your hands up and rest your forehead onto your hands. But you should feel a stretch to that right bottom cheek. Now, if you can't get into that position, don't worry, come onto your back. So if you can get into that position, stay there. If you can't, come onto your back. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee. You're going to push your right knee away and hug your left knee in towards you. And you should feel that same kind of stretch. Heel resting on the opposite knee, pushing the knee away. And you should feel that through there. So hold that side, that stretch. If this pigeon pose isn't available to you. And just kind of picture what you're doing, because you're going to have to repeat it on the other side in a moment. Good. One more breath in there. And then gently we're going to come back up. We're going to uncross that right leg, bring the knee back underneath you, and then swap over. So the left foot comes in front of the right knee. You're going to slide that right leg back. Falling off the end of my mat. And again, you'll want to sit down onto that right bottom cheek, but don't. Stay parallel to the mat, so keep your right hip close to that heel. And then again, you can either come down onto elbows if that's available to you, or forehead down towards the mat, and just stretching out through that left bottom cheek. Or if you're on your back, then cross your left ankle over your right knee, push that left knee away and hug that right knee in towards you, and you'll feel that stretch through the hip on the bottom on the left side. Remember to keep breathing. Good, one more breath in there. And then we'll gently come back up onto all fours. I'm going to stretch out the hip flexors. So from kneeling, we're going to bring our left knee in front of us. We're going to imagine that pelvic bowl again. We're going to tuck that pelvic bowl, roll the marble backwards. So imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs. And that should naturally open up through the front of this hip here. Now, so pull that belly button in towards your spine. If you arch, you're not going to get the stretch that you want through here. So you really need to think about, imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs, and then you can just push that hip forward slightly if you want, or you can add in a little heel to bottom stretch as well. So I don't mind, again, work with what's comfortable for you. Just trying to open up. If you'd rather do this in standing, you can even do it in standing, so that you're coming into slightly wide. Bring your feet quite wide apart, so don't come with one foot in front of the other, because it'll be really hard to balance. Soften through the knees, push the hip forward. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs, and you should feel that opening up through the front of the hip. So if that's easier for you, come into standing. If you're happy in kneeling, there, you want to add in that heel to bottom. Just make sure you don't come into that arched lower back. Good. Good, just hold that for one more breath, and then whichever position you're in, just relax off. We're going to swap sides, kneeling on your left knee, and your right foot in front. You're going to imagine that tail, tuck it between your legs, pull that belly button in towards your spine, push the left hip forward, don't arch through the lower back, and then you can bring that left heel towards your bottom if that's available to you. You don't have to do that at all if you don't want to. Or if you're in standing, then your right foot forward, left foot back, tucking that tailbone under, push the left hip forward, and feel that stretch through the front of that left leg. So whichever position you're in, just hold that stretch. Some nice deep breath in. Make sure you've not crept into an arched lower back. Good. One more breath in. And relax that breath away, and then you can relax that stretch off. Good, well done. So let's just try to fire up through those glutes, open up through the hips, and just increase that flexibility. We're quite good at just holding still static positions while in our normal daily routine. So opening up through the hips is a really nice one to work on. And so I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next time.